Welcome aboard the pedal train. I'm going to talk about my effects pedals and how I'm going to actually set them all up together. I've just finished recording individual videos explaining some of the pedals I've got, the MXR, boost, delay and chorus pedals. They're the latest ones that I've just done. So now I'm getting round to actually connecting them all up together and be able to use them all together with my amp in the complete setup, so you can hopefully see the pedals that I've got that I'm going to be using for this setup. Now, as you can hopefully see, I've got quite a few pedals going on there. Actually, that's not a massive amount of pedals compared to what some people use. It's more than what I've ever used before, because I've gone from using multi-effects pedal that's got them all built into one box to individual pedals. So for me, it's quite a new thing to have this many different separate pedals, but I'm going to run through with you. It'll take me a few videos for reasons I'll explain in a moment to do this, but just for anyone who's interested in terms of getting these things up and running in the context of your overall setup with your amp and your guitar. Now, the pedals I've got in front of me, I need all of these on the floor in front of me. That's the idea of them. Now, just to quickly run through them, that one there is the channel select pedal that comes with the amp. It's got its own cable that runs back and connects to the amp, so I don't need to worry too much about that one. Next to that, I've got the tuner pedal. Next to that, I've got the wah-wah pedal, and then I've got the three MXR pedals that I've just done the videos on, the chorus, delay and boost pedals. Finally, that's the power supply unit that I'm going to use to provide power to all of these pedals, because they all need a power source. There's a couple of ways you can do that. You can either use a 9-volt battery. They've each got a compartment in for a 9-volt battery, or you can use a power supply. If you've only got one pedal or so, maybe it's worthwhile just having a battery, or having maybe even a rechargeable battery. But these things are quite expensive, so when you've got a few pedals going on, it made sense to me to have that power supply connected. So to start with, what am I going to have to do in order to connect these things? Well, the amplifier channel select pedal, that's got its own cable, plugs into amp. I don't have to worry about that, so I'm going to forget about that for the moment. So other than that, the way this is going to be probably set up, I'm not fully 100% decided yet, but probably it's going to be my guitar, whichever guitar I choose, with a cable connected first of all to my tuner pedal. That's going to be the first thing that I connect to, and then from the tuner pedal I'm going to have a small short cable going into my wah-wah pedal. That's going to have a longer cable going back to the amplifier, and then I'm going to have another cable coming out of the amplifier going to, I'm not sure on the order yet, to one of the three coloured pedals, the MXR pedals. They're all going to be connected using short cables, and then finally after those there's going to be another long cable going back to the amplifier. So there's already a lot of cables taking place and a lot of setup taking place there. On top of that, don't forget I mentioned the power. So the power supply unit, that's going to be connected to all of these pedals, apart from the channel select, that doesn't need power, but all of the other ones, the tuner, the wah, the chorus, delay and boost pedal, they all need power. So there's going to be a lot of cabling taking place and a lot of organising to do. Now, that's fine. I've got the cables to do that, so that's not my problem. The problem, if it is a problem, is once I've got all this wired up and set up, then that's great. I can play with it and enjoy it, but if I want to change my location, so if I want to go and play around at a friend's house, if I want to go and rehearse with a band, if I want to go and do a show or something like that, I've got to unwire it, unplug it all, and then set it all up from scratch wherever I go to, which is where the concept of this video series comes in, and it's going to be about using a pedal board. I mentioned at the start I used the term welcome aboard the pedal train. The reason I use that is a bit of a play on words. I've got a pedal board that I bought when I got the pedals, which is this device here, and it's called a pedal train. So sorry for being cheesy, but that's the reason why I mentioned that. Now, what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to attach the pedals to it. There's Velcro attachments and other various ways I can do it to these slats on this board, so that they remain attached to this, all the wiring can stay in place, and then all I have to do when I want to move the whole thing is unplug the long cables, the ones that run to the amp, and then I can just move all my pedals on this board with the power supply and everything all in one. So that's why you might want to use something called a pedal board. This one's called a pedal train. There's other ones out there. This is a really simple one. It's just a, you can see it's got a lean forward to it. So obviously this is the, you know, the back of it as I'm looking at it. This is the front, so the pedals are slightly angled up, which makes it easier to be able to use them. But other than that, it's just a load of looks like extruded aluminium that's been welded together and painted black. There's nothing else to it than that. It comes with the bits of Velcro and other bits to attach the pedals, so I've got everything I need to do that, so I'm good to go to attach my pedals to this. And if you look at the pedals as they're laid out now, the overall size of this is more or less what I need. It's slightly bigger than what I need, but I wanted to do that. Let's put this away. I wanted to get one that was slightly bigger because I don't know, in future I might want to add another pedal or two to my collection, and I didn't want to end up with, they did a smaller size one that would only just about fit everything on, but I just thought I'd leave a little bit of extra room just in case I wanted to expand my pedal collection later. So in theory all I need to do is stick all these pedals onto that pedal train board, wire them all up in the correct manner that I've just described, and then I'm good to go. But I'm not going to rush into that, and the reason for that is because, okay, once I've attached them I can unattach them and change them and move the positions of them, but when I'm using these with my feet, when I'm playing the guitar with my hands and using the pedals with my feet, it's going to be really important to me, and to anybody playing, the positioning of these things, because I'm going to take into account which ones I might use more often. Now straight away I know, because I have some experiences, the amp switching pedal I'll probably use quite a lot more often than most other things, because I want to be changing my sounds using that one. The other special effects sounds and things I might not use as regularly, but that one is one that I'll probably use quite a lot. The tuner, I'll probably use that quite a lot, but I'll be using that, I won't be using that whilst I'm playing a song, so that'll be used in between songs. So perhaps I could put that further back on the board, slightly out of the way, maybe, I don't know, I'll see how it goes, in a position that's comfortable for me. The wah-wah pedal, that's different than all the others because it's not a simple on-off pedal. I have mentioned it before ages ago on the channel, the wah-wah pedal, but you use your foot to actually move it up and down from one position to another to adjust the sound. So whenever I'm using that, I need to have a comfortable foot position on it. So there's loads of things that I need to think about when I'm doing this. So rather than just stick them all like that on the board and yeah, that's it, what I'm going to do is have a bit of I'm going to set them up just on the floor like they are now, and wire them up and have a play around with them, play through as much different stuff as I can and try and imagine different scenarios in my head and what I might want to use, and just get some idea of what's going to work good for me and what might not work so good for me. As I say, I can always change it later if need be, but it's a lot easier trying to make these decisions now before I start than just randomly sticking them all over the board because they look nice in a particular way, and then later having to change it all and change the wiring and all that type of thing. So for now, that's all I'm going to talk about, the fact that I've got all these sat on the floor. My next step is going to be finding the correct order and the correct way to place them on the pedal board. So that's going to take some trial and error. I'm not going to rush into that. I don't have any immediate upcoming need to get them ready for that, so I can take my time. I'll just lay them out on the floor, play through them, different channels of the amp, try the different effects, switching them with my feet, see what I'm comfortable with, and I'll take it from there. Once I've reached the point where I think, oh yeah, that's working pretty good for me, then that's the point where I'm going to attach them to the board and make it a little bit more semi-permanent. So once I reach that point, I'll get back to you. I'll have the pedals on the board, and then I'll talk about the process of actually connecting them together between themselves and between the amp, and a few tips and tricks that might be useful for you in terms of doing that. So keep an eye out for that on the channel as and when I get around to doing it, when I finish playing with these. But in the meantime, as always, enjoy.